Feeling unsure about ourselves is something that almost everyone experiences. At some point, most people worry about a part of themselves that makes them feel less accepted, less seen, or simply not good enough. It could be something we notice in the mirror, like our height, weight, or face, or something we observe in how we act or connect with others. These feelings don't always come from major events. Sometimes they begin with small passing comments made in childhood. Other times they build slowly from repeated messages about what is considered good, pretty, or normal. Even though these insecurities may seem minor, they can deeply affect how we dress, how we relate to others, and what we believe we're capable of. The Stoics remind us that the opinions of others, and even the standards of society, are externals, meaning they are beyond our control. Yet, it's easy to let them shape our inner world. Even though nearly everyone has insecurities, they often make us feel completely alone. We start to believe that we're the only ones who feel too quiet, too loud, too different. But the truth is, many people carry these same quiet worries. Some worry about being too short, others about their nose, their skin, or how they speak. These insecurities are not signs of personal weakness, but reflections of the world we've grown up in. Stoic philosophy teaches us that suffering often comes not from events themselves, but from the way we interpret them. We compare who we are to who we think we should be, and that gap can feel heavy. When that space becomes too wide, it can leave us feeling like we're never enough no matter what we do. This burden can come from appearance, behavior, or from not feeling brave, smart, or confident enough. But here's something important. What one group sees as ideal, another may ignore entirely. Ideas of beauty and worth shift from place to place, generation to generation. In one culture, being tall is admired. In another, it hardly matters. These ideas are changeable, and therefore not a solid ground on which to build our self-worth. The Stoics would ask, if something can change so easily, why let it disturb your peace? When someone else points out something about us, or when we begin to notice it ourselves, it can suddenly become the only thing we see. A feature we barely noticed before turns into something we constantly judge ourselves for. That's how insecurity works. It magnifies one detail until it feels like it defines our entire value. But Epictetus reminds us, it's not the thing itself that troubles us, but our judgment of it. In the story that inspired this reflection, someone shared their quiet struggles with being shorter, having a flat nose that doesn't hold glasses well, and tired-looking eyes that make them seem worn out. These traits might seem small to others, but they became central to this person's self-image, especially after being teased and noticing how people responded. Teasing and ridicule often leave deep marks, especially when repeated over time. Many people will recognize their own story here. Perhaps they were teased too, or felt invisible, or not chosen. Realizing how common this is should bring us closer, not make us feel ashamed. You are not alone. And that's something the Stoics would encourage us to reflect on, the shared human experience and the value of treating ourselves and others with compassion and reason. Understanding where our insecurities come from is a powerful step. We rarely feel shame about something for no reason. Most of the time, those feelings grow over time, shaped by experiences and the world's messages. Childhood is especially important, because it's when we begin to form our first beliefs about how we should be. A child may not think twice about the shape of their nose until someone mocks it. In the speech that inspired this reflection, the speaker recalls being teased for having a pig nose and visible nose hairs. These features didn't hurt them physically, but the attention they received turned them into sources of shame. The Stoics taught that we cannot control what others say or think, but we can control how we respond. Children may speak without care. Parents may comment without meaning harm. Even so, words can stay with us for years. "You'd look great if you were taller" may seem like a passing remark, but it can become a quiet belief that we're not enough as we are. Even when parents don't comment directly on us, if they often criticize their own appearance, we may learn to do the same. We absorb more than we realize, and outside of home or school, society continues to tell stories about what is considered normal or beautiful. Media and social platforms show only narrow versions of beauty, repeated again and again. And even if no one says it aloud, we begin to believe that only certain looks are truly worthy. If every hero in a story is tall and strong, a boy with softer features might believe he doesn't measure up. If every admired face looks a certain way, anyone who looks different may feel invisible. These constant messages shape our self-perception over time, until they become like a script playing in the background of our minds. But here's where the Stoic mindset offers us freedom. These messages aren't facts. They are opinions formed by a changing world. And opinions can be questioned. You can't always choose what happens, but you can choose the story you tell yourself about it. That is the Stoic path, to replace emotional reaction with reasoned reflection. In the speech that inspired this text, the person shares how being 5'2" has been a quiet struggle. Part of this comes from practical things, like clothing not being made with them in mind. Having to adjust constantly, even in small ways, can start to feel like a message: you don't fit. But the Stoics would urge us to ask, what truly defines your worth? Not your height, not your nose, not the way you look when you're tired. These are externals. They are not within your power. But how you live, how you act, how you treat others, those are yours to shape. Your dignity is not based on fitting a mold. It's based on the choices you make every day, to meet yourself with kindness, to live with courage, and to value the things that truly matter. Because in the end, the Stoic knows this truth. Your peace doesn't depend on being perfect. It depends on seeing clearly what is yours to carry and learning to let go of the rest. In social settings, the speaker shares that people who are taller often make fun of those who are shorter. Sometimes anyone under 5 feet 5 inches is simply called 5 feet tall, even if that's not true. In dating, there's still a common belief that many straight women want their partners to be much taller than them. Because of this, some shorter boys or men worry that they won't be seen as attractive partners. Even though this idea doesn't apply to everyone, many couples do well no matter the height difference. It's still talked about so often that it creates real worry. The speaker also brings up other physical features that caused embarrassment when they were younger, like having a flat nose and visible nose hairs, which led to teasing from other kids. They also mention having noticeable eye bags from a young age. People sometimes thought this meant they were always tired or uninterested, even when that wasn't true. Another point the speaker makes is about having nipples that stay raised all the time. They worry that this becomes too visible under light-colored shirts or in certain lighting. For someone who doesn't have these traits, they might seem unimportant. But for the person living with them, each one can feel like a big deal. What stands out in these examples is how much insecurities can affect more than how someone feels about their appearance. Being shorter can lower confidence in dating or playing sports. A nose that doesn't fit glasses well can make wearing them uncomfortable. And worry about nipples showing can affect what a person wears or how they stand. The fear of being looked at or judged can even stop someone from going to normal events like beach days or pool parties. Insecurities show up in how people walk, what clothes they pick, and who they feel safe talking to. Though they often start with physical traits, their effects go deeper. The feelings that come with them, like nervousness, shame, doubt, or sadness, can build up, especially if someone starts to believe that their trait makes them strange or not good enough. If insecurities are not faced, they can grow stronger. For instance, someone who feels bad about being short might start to act as if nobody could ever like them. That kind of thinking can make them seem distant or unsure around others, which may lead to people pulling away. When this happens, it makes the person believe even more that they're not wanted. Relationships can also feel the weight of insecurity. Romantic ones can become filled with confusion if one partner's low self-esteem makes them take kind or casual words the wrong way. Friendships can get tense if someone pulls back often or refuses to believe compliments. Jobs can be missed if a person is too unsure to speak up, go to important events, or try for leadership positions. In team sports or group games, insecurities, like being short or having a nose that stands out, can make someone feel like they don't belong or aren't as good. And while some sports do focus on certain body types, someone who truly enjoys the game can still take part and grow their skills. Still, believing that a body trait makes you weaker can stop you from trying, which makes it harder to improve or enjoy yourself. Insecurities can also become a cycle. If you feel bad about your eye bags, for example, you might sleep poorly or spend a lot of time trying to cover them. That stress can actually make your sleep worse, and your eye bags more noticeable. Or if you're always trying to hide your chest because of how it looks, you might start having muscle pain or feel physically tense all the time, which adds to your stress. Moving from self-doubt to self-respect takes time, support, and honest thinking. One of the first and strongest steps is being aware. When you begin to notice which features you focus on too much and start to ask where those thoughts came from, you slowly begin to let go of their power. Writing down your thoughts can really help. Journaling lets you see which situations make you feel insecure and what thoughts return again and again. Another part of this process is learning to spot unhelpful ways of thinking. In therapy, these are called thinking errors. For example, if someone once made fun of your height, you might start to believe that everyone feels that way, even though that's not true. Questioning unkind thoughts in an organized way, by writing them down and comparing the reasons for and against them, can slowly change how you see yourself. This process becomes even more helpful when we add mindfulness and kindness toward ourselves. Mindfulness means taking a step back and simply noticing your thoughts without being harsh or upset about them. For example, instead of feeling a wave of shame when you see your reflection, you might pause and think, I feel uncomfortable with how my nose looks right now. That simple moment of noticing without reacting can help stop the pattern of negative thinking. Being kind to yourself, what we call self-compassion, is about treating yourself the way you would treat a close friend. If you wouldn't scold or make fun of someone you love for their height or appearance, why would you do it to yourself? You can practice self-compassion by saying gentle words to yourself, putting your hand on your heart to comfort yourself, or writing a kind letter that reminds you how common and human it is to have insecurities. Support from others is also important. Although much of the healing work happens inside us, having people around who remind you of your value can help quiet the inner critic. Talking to a therapist, on your own, in a group, or both, can help uncover where these painful beliefs started. Group therapy can be especially powerful because hearing others share their struggles reminds you that you are not alone. It's also important to understand that working through insecurities doesn't mean pretending to love every part of yourself all the time. It's more about reaching a place of acceptance. Accepting yourself doesn't mean you stop growing. It means your self-worth isn't based on outside opinions. If you want to be healthier or dress differently, that's okay, as long as your reason comes from care and hope, not dislike or shame. One helpful way to face insecurities is to change how you think about them. Instead of seeing a trait as something bad, ask yourself, could this just be something neutral or even helpful? For example, being shorter can make it easier to move through crowded places. A flatter nose might make some masks or goggles fit better. Even traits that don't offer clear advantages can still be special, just because they are part of who you are. This way of thinking takes practice, especially since many messages in the world focus only on what people think is perfect. That's why it helps to fill your surroundings with stories and images that celebrate real, different, and diverse people. You can follow social media accounts that honor different body shapes, styles, or cultures. You can even make a photo collection, on paper or online, of people who have succeeded while embracing traits others might have judged. Seeing someone else with the same feature living a happy, strong life can help you believe in your own value. Laughter can also help. As the speaker in the story shows, sometimes making a light-hearted joke about your appearance can take away some of the fear or pressure. When they joke about being a short, balding pig in the water, it's not meant to insult themselves. It's a way to show that it's okay to be different. Laughing gently at ourselves can help us feel connected and strong instead of ashamed. Because many insecurities come from how we view our bodies, it's important to build a more caring relationship with the body we have. This might mean choosing movement that makes you feel happy and strong, instead of chasing numbers or shapes. For instance, instead of working out just to look taller or more muscular, you might focus on getting better balance, stronger muscles, or more energy for your day. When movement feels like a way to honor what your body can do, instead of punishing it for what it is not, it creates a better foundation for body confidence. Wearing clothes that make you feel calm and sure of yourself can also help. If you're worried about nipples showing through light shirts, maybe darker colors or thicker materials will help you feel more at ease. If you feel unsure about your under-eye area, there are simple skincare steps or gentle makeup tricks you can try. But also remember that eye bags are just a part of how many people look. and they don't take away your worth. It also helps to feel thankful for the ways your body supports you. If you are on the shorter side, think about how your legs still help you move, dance, walk to school, play, explore new places, and stand with the people you care about. If you feel unsure about your nose, remember that it helps you smell flowers, enjoy the taste of your favorite foods, and connect to special memories through sense. When you focus on what your body does instead of only how it looks, your thoughts begin to change. The way we deal with insecurity is not something that happens in a single moment. It is a steady journey that can continue over many years. It is like peeling an onion. When one layer of worry or hurt is understood, another may appear. Different events in life, like starting a new job, falling in love, becoming a parent, or getting older, can bring out new worries or bring back old ones. Knowing that these feelings often return in cycles can help you be more patient with yourself when progress feels slow or uneven. Taking time to reflect regularly, by writing in a notebook or simply thinking quietly, can help you notice when new insecurities show up. You might ask yourself, what brings on this feeling? What thoughts go along with it? Have I felt this way before, and what helped me before that might help me now? Having people who care about you can make a big difference in this process. Support from friends, family, or even safe online spaces can remind you of how much you've grown. People who check in with you, sometimes called accountability partners, can be a great help. If you've chosen to talk more openly about something that once made you feel small, a trusted person can gently ask how you're feeling about it, how you've been speaking to yourself, and what kind of things you're doing to care for your heart and mind. Therapy isn't something that needs to happen just once. Many people find that going back to therapy during different chapters of life is helpful. If you notice that an insecurity is affecting your daily life, like skipping parties, feeling uncomfortable being close to others, or not wanting to be seen, it could be a sign to talk to someone trained to help. A counselor or therapist can offer tools and ideas that match your situation and personality. Another important part of the journey is noticing your progress. If you start wearing clothes you once avoided, or apply for a job you didn't think you deserved because of your appearance, take time to feel proud of yourself. These moments of courage add up and slowly shift how you see yourself. Even though a lot of the work happens inside us, the messages we hear from society also matter. On a personal level, you can protect yourself from harmful media or speak up when someone says something unkind. That might mean unfollowing social media accounts that promote unrealistic beauty, or gently correcting a friend or family member who makes hurtful jokes. At a larger level, our world is slowly changing. More and more people are talking about accepting different kinds of bodies and appearances. Movements that focus on body kindness and respect for everyone are helping more people feel seen and valued. This change may take time, but each voice that stands up for fairness and honesty helps others feel less alone. It's also helpful to remember that what one group sees as a flaw, another group may celebrate. Over time, ideas of beauty shift. In some cultures and time periods, having a rounder body meant health and wealth. In others, thinness became the goal. Some facial features that were once ignored or teased might later be considered unique and beautiful. Understanding that beauty ideals are not permanent or universal can bring a sense of freedom. These expectations come from society. They are not unchangeable facts. Another strong way to deal with insecurity is by growing personal qualities that bring meaning and pride. Things like kindness, patience, courage, imagination, and a love of learning can become the roots of a strong self-image that doesn't depend on looks. When your confidence grows from being a loyal friend, a caring student, or someone who makes others think or smile, how you feel about one physical trait may become less heavy. Trying new activities that show what you're good at or help you learn something new can truly change how you see yourself. Maybe you find joy in drawing, making up stories, learning an instrument, or helping animals or people in need. These experiences build a deeper sense of identity, one that goes beyond appearance. That doesn't mean worries about how you look completely go away, but those thoughts can become quieter when you realize you're made of many wonderful parts. Building inner strengths doesn't mean ignoring your body or saying that appearance doesn't matter at all. It's more about finding a healthy balance. A strong sense of self comes from many places, your feelings, your thoughts, your creativity, your beliefs, and yes, your body too. When you see yourself as someone with many different parts, no single insecurity can define who you are. Being open about what you feel is often seen as being weak, but it can actually be a powerful way to let go of shame. Telling people you trust that you feel unsure about something, like your height, your nose, or any other trait, can create space for real kindness and connection. Many people try to hide their insecurities because they fear being judged, but keeping these feelings hidden can make them feel bigger. When you speak openly about something that makes you feel uncomfortable, it often loses its hold on you. Being honest and real with others makes it easier for them to do the same. This kind of sharing builds stronger friendships. When someone always tries to look perfect, it can be hard for others to feel close to them. That perfect image can create distance. But when someone is willing to laugh at their own quirks, talk about things that make them feel small, and still feel proud of who they are, that person gives off a gentle warmth that draws others in. Overcoming insecurities takes time and includes many steps, but there are small everyday things you can do to feel better right away and build confidence slowly. You can try calming activities, make lists of your strengths and happy memories, write down what makes you feel insecure, try new clothes just for fun, or follow media that celebrates people of different shapes, styles, and stories. While these helpful steps are important, there are times when talking to a professional is the best way forward. If your insecurities are making you feel very sad, stopping you from doing things you enjoy, or causing anxiety, sadness, or problems with eating, reaching out for help can make a big difference. Therapists who are trained in specific types of support, like cognitive behavioral therapy or DBT, can help you understand where these thoughts come from and teach you new ways to take care of yourself. Therapy is also a safe space to talk about painful experiences from the past. If you were bullied or felt overly criticized as a child, those early hurts can leave deep marks. With the right support, you can explore those memories, let go of the pain, and begin to heal. Therapists can guide you with planned activities, help you see yourself from new angles, and encourage you to stick with the changes you are trying to make. Talking with others in group therapy or support circles, whether online or in person, can add another layer of healing. In these spaces, you get to see that many people go through similar challenges. Listening to how they manage their struggles may give you ideas that feel right for you. At the same time, sharing your own thoughts or comfort with someone else can help you feel stronger and more capable. It reminds you that your story has value and can offer hope to others. A deeper part of healing from insecurity includes thinking again about what success and happiness mean to you. When self-doubt feels heavy, people sometimes believe that success must look a certain way, like having a flawless appearance or meeting strict goals to feel accepted or loved. But true happiness is rarely tied to looking perfect or being the best. You might find greater joy by measuring success in other ways, like becoming more thoughtful, being kind to others, staying curious, expressing your ideas, or building caring friendships. When you live in a way that matches your values, like honesty, gentleness, and openness, things like your nose shape or your body size start to feel less important. This new way of seeing success can feel freeing. It helps you feel proud of who you are without needing constant approval from others. Another pathway toward healing, often missed, is through creativity and fun. When you create, you give shape to feelings or thoughts that might otherwise stay hidden, especially if you spend too much time worrying about your flaws. Whether you paint, write, dance, or use another form of art, you can explore your emotions in a way that feels safe and even joyful. Playing is about enjoying the moment without pressure. This could mean joining a pickup game of basketball, even if you don't think you're very sporty or tall. It might mean singing at a karaoke night, even if you're unsure about your voice. When you take part in playful activities, you get a break from self-criticism. You also begin to notice that most people are focused on having fun, not judging your looks or mistakes. Through art and play, you can catch small moments where you feel free from insecurity. These experiences can slowly show you that it's possible to live without always worrying about how you seem. Over time, these moments stack up, slowly replacing the old story that says you always have to hide or fix something about yourself. Realizing that overcoming insecurity takes time might seem hard at first, but it can actually bring relief. It means you don't have to fix everything at once. Just like your body gets stronger with regular movement, your thoughts and feelings also need steady care and kindness. You might choose to check in with yourself daily, weekly, or monthly. These times can be used to notice your thoughts, gently challenge the ones that hurt, and celebrate small steps you've taken. These simple habits can grow into a full routine that supports your whole self. Taking care of yourself isn't only about relaxing with candles or warm baths, though those can be soothing. It also includes learning how to set limits, knowing when to leave harmful situations, and choosing habits that help your body and mind feel well. When you take care of yourself often, your inner strength increases. That way, when an old insecurity shows up again, you'll feel more ready to deal with it. Progress doesn't always move forward in a straight line. Some days or weeks, you may feel like you're going backwards. Maybe someone makes a careless remark about your looks and it touches a wound you thought had already healed. Instead of thinking this means you've failed, try to see it as part of the natural rise and fall of personal growth. Go back to the tools that have helped you before, like writing in a journal, speaking with someone who listens kindly, or meeting again with your therapist. Little by little, you may notice these hard moments become shorter or less painful. Today's world offers many online spaces where people come together based on shared interests, stories, or traits. If you feel alone in your struggle, there might be websites, online groups, or discussion threads where people who look like you or feel like you share their thoughts and support one another. Even if you're quiet at first and just read what others say, you might find comfort and courage in their words. In-person communities too, like sports teams, clubs, or local volunteering, can give you a strong sense of connection. Being part of a group that likes you as you are, including the parts you once thought were problems, can change how you see yourself. When you feel accepted and appreciated, those old insecurities can slowly begin to lose their power. Feeling truly accepted helps you feel safe and settled inside. It challenges the idea that you are not enough or that something about you is missing. Being part of a group that welcomes all kinds of people, like a body positivity group or a cultural circle that honors different looks, can give you a fresh place to rethink what beauty means. When you spend time in spaces where differences are welcomed instead of judged, your mind begins to see variety as something wonderful rather than something wrong. One way to face insecurity that people don't always think about is by practicing thankfulness and wonder. When you feel unsure about yourself, your thoughts can become very small and focused only on what you believe is wrong. Gratitude does the opposite. It helps you zoom out and notice what is good, steady, or meaningful in your life. This could be something like having food that nourishes you, friends who care about you, the chance to read books and grow your mind, or simply knowing that your body lets you move through the day. Awe is a feeling that often shows up when we see or hear something so beautiful or big that we pause, like watching a sunset, standing in front of tall mountains, or listening to a song that touches your heart. These experiences remind you that life is wide and full, and that your worries, while real, are only one small part of a much bigger story. You can find awe in many ways, by walking in nature, visiting a museum, listening to moving music, looking at the stars, or spending time with something spiritual. These moments can help you feel that your worth is much more than how you look or any one part of yourself. Insecurities often stay around because many societies place a lot of attention on being special and comparing ourselves to others. This can make us feel like we have to always measure up. But when you start to see yourself as part of a group, you realize that every person adds something valuable to the world. Your height, your features, or your unique shape all belong in the wonderful variety of human beings. By remembering that you are part of a community, you may start to notice how your own differences add color and richness instead of taking anything away. Thinking this way can also help shift your attention. Rather than worrying about how others see your clothes or your body, you might begin to focus on how you can be helpful, kind, or skilled for the people around you. This change, along with caring for yourself, can gently quiet the voice of insecurity. It's important to understand something that might feel hard at first. Not everyone will be drawn to you, and that's completely okay. Part of becoming more confident is learning to accept that not everyone will admire or agree with you. People have all kinds of likes, dislikes, and past experiences that shape what they enjoy or respect. Just like you may prefer certain looks or personalities, others will too. This doesn't mean you're not valuable. It just means people are different. If someone overlooks you because of your height or another trait, it shows something about their own opinions, not your worth. When you stop trying to get everyone's approval, you give yourself permission to breathe and be real. Another gift that can come from facing insecurity is that it helps you understand others better. If you've ever felt hurt, embarrassed, or left out because of something about you, then you already know how deeply that can affect a person. This makes it easier to care for others who feel the same way. That kind of understanding can inspire kind actions. You might speak up for a classmate who is being picked on. You might comfort a friend who feels unsure about something you've never worried about yourself. In this way, healing your own insecurities helps create a more caring world, not just for you, but for everyone you meet. Working through insecurities can lead to something meaningful. It can help you become more open, more understanding, and more willing to notice and appreciate the differences that make people unique. Strangely, the experiences that once made you feel separated from others can later help you build strong and honest connections. Overcoming insecurities is a path that touches many parts of our lives. It asks us to see ourselves with more honesty and also to look more carefully at the world around us. As we think about where insecurities come from and how they affect us, we begin to notice a common thread. Behind every feeling of self-doubt, there is a deeply human experience. Whether someone worries about being too short, having a physical trait that stands out, or feeling not good enough in some way, the process of learning to accept ourselves is filled with chances to grow. Often, we focus on individuals when we talk about insecurity, how someone feels about their eyes, their body, or their height. This personal view can be helpful, but it doesn't always show the full picture. Many of the things we feel unsure about didn't begin with us. They often come from the messages we've absorbed over time, what we saw in the media, what we were told as children, or what society tends to praise and ignore. Even very young children can notice patterns. They might see that taller kids or those with certain looks are praised more often. These observations can become quiet rules in our minds, rules that suggest who deserves attention and who doesn't. As we grow up, we carry those silent beliefs with us, even if we don't always realize it. Understanding that many of our insecurities were shaped by outside influences helps us feel less alone and less at fault. Once we see that many of these beliefs came from the world around us, we can begin to question them. We might realize, for example, that the clothing industry designs sizes based on numbers, not kindness. It's not that some bodies are better than others. It's that the system wasn't made to fit everyone equally. This awareness won't erase insecurity right away, but it can begin to shift the way we think. Instead of blaming ourselves, we start to see how these ideas were passed down to us. That shift allows space for more kindness toward ourselves. Being kind to yourself is one of the most powerful tools for healing. It might sound simple, but saying a soft word to yourself when you're hurting or pausing to notice your feelings instead of pushing them away can slowly change how you speak to yourself inside. Being gentle with yourself doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. It means facing your struggles with the same care you would offer a close friend. That care doesn't stop with you. Once you begin treating yourself more gently, you often find it easier to understand others. When you know what it feels like to dislike something about yourself, you can better imagine how someone else might feel in a similar situation. The boy who seems confident might still worry about failing. The girl with perfect skin might feel unseen in other ways. When we recognize this, it becomes easier to show empathy. We begin to see that nearly everyone is carrying something unseen. Another important idea is learning to change the stories we tell ourselves. If you were teased for a part of your body, or always felt less attractive, you might have created a quiet story in your head that says, "I'm not enough." Rewriting that story is possible. Instead of thinking your appearance is a problem, you can begin to see it as one part of your human experience. You don't have to call it beautiful right away. Even describing it with neutral or respectful words is a strong start. Little by little, we can learn to describe ourselves in ways that are honest but not cruel. We can remind ourselves that our value doesn't come from matching an image, but from the kindness we show, the ideas we share, and the effort we give. These are qualities that matter far beyond looks or popularity. It's also important to understand that insecurity is not something you fix in one day. It's a process. Some days will feel lighter, others harder. You might go weeks feeling confident, then suddenly feel unsure again. This doesn't mean you failed, it means you are human. Growth is not a straight line. What matters is continuing to return to the tools that help you. Journaling, talking to someone you trust, spending time doing things you enjoy, or even just resting when you need to. Insecurity can also become smaller when we focus less on ourselves and more on the people around us. Instead of wondering whether your outfit hides your flaws, you might ask, who could use a kind word today? That shift in focus can make a big difference. It doesn't mean ignoring your own needs, but it does mean seeing that life is richer when we include others in our thoughts. Another truth, though sometimes hard to accept, is that not everyone will like you, and that's okay. People have different preferences and opinions, just as you do. This isn't something to fear, it's something to understand. If someone doesn't admire you because of your height or another trait, it says more about their preferences than about your worth. Letting go of the need to be liked by everyone is a step toward freedom. There's also something powerful that happens when we face our insecurities. We grow in our ability to care for others. If you know what it feels like to be ashamed of something about yourself, you may be the first to defend someone else who's being teased. You may become the kind friend who notices when someone is hurting. The work you do to understand yourself can ripple out and bring more kindness into the world. In the end, our insecurities do not have to define us. They can teach us, shape us, and lead us toward deeper connection. They can help us notice beauty in places we never thought to look. And they can remind us that being human is not about being perfect. It's about being real, being kind, and being brave enough to keep growing. Maybe that nose shape that once made you the target of jokes at school is actually a beautiful part of your family's story, a feature passed down from generation to generation, holding within it a quiet strength, a reminder of where you come from. And maybe the shorter height that made shopping for clothes a challenge also gives you a unique ability, like moving through crowded places with ease or slipping into small spaces others can't. These new ways of seeing ourselves might seem too simple at first, like they couldn't possibly undo years of self-criticism, but they matter. Every time we choose to look at ourselves with kindness instead of judgment, we're planting new thoughts that slowly replace the harsh inner voices we've lived with for so long. Still, changing the way we think isn't enough on its own. We also need to live differently. Insecurity doesn't just live in our minds. It shows up in our habits, in the choices we make without even realizing why. Like always picking clothes that hide parts of our body we don't like, saying no to parties or beach days, or staying quiet in a meeting even when we have something important to say. Facing these habits takes courage. It means doing things we've avoided for a long time. For some, that might mean wearing bright colors or bold patterns that once felt off limits. For others, it could be signing up for a dance class or a local soccer team, even if they still feel unsure about their bodies. What often happens is surprising. Once we take action, our minds begin to shift too. We realize that showing up as we are doesn't lead to disaster. In fact, it often leads to freedom. Little by little, our fears lose their grip. But let's be honest, it's hard to do this alone. When you've grown up hearing criticism or gone through bullying or internalized family shame, changing how you see yourself can feel overwhelming. That's why support is essential. It's not weakness to need others, it's human. Sometimes just having one or two people who believe in you can make all the difference. Support can come from a lot of places. A close friend who reminds you how far you've come. A group that celebrates the very things you once tried to hide. A counselor who helps you process painful memories in a safe and supportive way. For many, group therapy becomes a powerful experience because in those spaces, something magical happens. People start to realize they're not alone. They hear stories that echo their own. They begin to understand that their insecurities aren't personal flaws, they're shared struggles. And in that shared space, healing begins. Together, people lift one another up. They learn to replace shame with compassion, silence with truth, and isolation with connection. Insecurity may not disappear overnight, but step by step, it begins to loosen its hold. And in its place, something stronger grows. Self-acceptance, courage, and the deep knowing that we are all more alike than we think. Many people who begin the journey of healing and self-reflection carry a quiet worry inside, What if no matter how hard I try, I still feel insecure? What if therapy, journaling, or positive thinking never fully erase this part of me? This is a completely valid concern. And the truth is, the goal has never been to become someone who never feels doubt again. That would be like wishing to never feel cold or never feel sadness. It's simply not realistic nor necessary. Instead, the deeper goal is to build inner strength, to grow a kind of quiet confidence that doesn't depend on perfection. It's about developing enough awareness that when those familiar feelings of insecurity come knocking, we know how to greet them. We don't let them crash into our lives and take over. We pause, we notice. And then, instead of spiraling, we respond differently. Maybe we remind ourselves of something true and good about who we are. Maybe we reach out to a friend who helps us see things more clearly. These small choices, repeated over time, build a foundation we can stand on, even when the ground feels shaky. And while our personal work is essential, understanding the world around us is just as important. A big part of our insecurity doesn't come from within. It's been planted, often by a culture that profits from our self-doubt. The media we consume teaches us to compare ourselves to impossible standards. It tells us there's only one way to be beautiful, desirable, or successful. These messages aren't neutral. They're crafted to sell products and keep our attention. When we start to recognize that, it becomes easier to separate fact from fiction. Learning to question these cultural messages can be incredibly freeing. We start to see that many of the images and ideals we've been chasing are manufactured illusions. And once we see the trick, we can choose differently. We might start following social media accounts that celebrate real, diverse bodies. We might watch films or read books that showcase different kinds of beauty, different ways of living. Slowly, our minds begin to adjust. What once felt like flaws begin to feel like features. We no longer measure our worth against an invisible ruler. And something beautiful happens when we begin to accept ourselves more fully. We also become more compassionate toward others. Our judgments soften. We understand that everyone is carrying something. Everyone has their version of insecurity, their secret story. And when we truly see that, we stop ranking people. We stop dividing the world into winners and losers, attractive and unattractive, worthy and unworthy. Instead, we start asking deeper questions. What makes this person unique? What can we learn from each other? This shift creates a more inclusive and human world, where connection replaces comparison. But let's not pretend it's easy. Healing is hard work. It's not a straight road. One day you might feel strong and proud. The next, a small comment might pull you back into old habits of self-criticism. That doesn't mean you've failed. It just means you're human. In those moments, it helps to have a toolkit, a few go-to strategies that can ground you. Maybe you keep a list of things you've overcome. Maybe you practice looking at yourself in the mirror without adding commentary. Maybe you challenge a critical thought by asking, is this really true? Or is it an old tape I've been playing for too long? And most importantly, you surround yourself with people who see the best in you, who remind you of your value when you forget. The truth is, insecurity may never disappear completely, but it doesn't have to control your life. You can walk beside it without letting it lead. You can live fully, even with moments of doubt. And over time, those moments grow smaller, softer, easier to carry, because you're no longer facing them alone or unprepared. You're facing them with wisdom, with support, and with the growing belief that who you are has always been enough. They might also include physical routines that help us feel more at home in our bodies. Simple things like yoga, stretching, or going for a quiet walk. These activities aren't about how we look, they're about how we feel. They teach us to appreciate movement, breath, and presence, rather than chasing an idea of perfection. Little by little, we begin to notice how our bodies support us, not betray us. In this space, even the smallest motion can become a celebration of life. Creative outlets are another powerful tool. When we paint, draw, write, or play music, we open a door to express what words sometimes can't say. Art and journaling give shape to feelings that have long been buried: fear, doubt, longing. Through creativity, insecurities transform. They become stories, colors, melodies. They stop being heavy secrets and start becoming sources of insight and healing. Sometimes when we create, we don't just learn to understand ourselves better, we learn to like ourselves more. Volunteering is also a quiet but powerful act of healing. When we offer time, care, or presence to others, our world expands. We remember that everyone carries struggles, not just us. We realize our pain is real, but it's not the whole picture. Helping someone else can ground us. It can remind us of our value, not because of how we look or what we achieve, but because of how we show up with kindness. Service softens the walls of self-absorption that insecurity can build and invites us into connection. A core truth this essay shares is that everyone's path to healing is different. We each come from different families, communities, and life stories. Some people may thrive in group settings, surrounded by others who understand them. Others may need silence, solitude, and deep personal reflection before they feel ready to open up. Some might turn off social media completely to find peace, while others simply choose to follow accounts that inspire acceptance and joy. This variety isn't a weakness. It's a reflection of how deeply human we all are. What matters most is not how we heal, but that we begin. The heart of the message is this: insecurities, as painful as they are, can open doors. They can lead us into deeper understanding, richer relationships, and new forms of expression. They push us to ask, what do I truly care about? What kind of life feels honest to me? How do I want to treat myself and others? In many ways, insecurity is not the end of our story. It's the beginning of a more conscious, compassionate chapter. Letting go of insecurity doesn't mean pretending to be perfect. It means learning to walk through life with gentle honesty. It means recognizing that our strengths and our so-called flaws are all part of what makes us whole. When we take time to understand the roots of our self-doubt, from culture, family, or past experiences, we begin to free ourselves from their grip. When we respond with compassion instead of criticism, we grow stronger, not harsher. And when we take those insights and act on them, whether through writing, therapy, friendships, or art, we make real progress. Not overnight, not all at once, but step by step. As our worldview expands, we start to see that beauty, confidence, and worth come in many forms. What once felt like a prison now feels more like a doorway, a portal through which we meet hidden parts of ourselves we didn't know were there. Maybe we find courage. Maybe we discover a creative voice. Maybe we open up to new friendships or reconnect with old ones in deeper ways. These moments of connection, with ourselves, with others, are what make the journey worth it. And the best part? As we heal, we quietly help heal the world around us too. Because every time someone dares to love themselves a little more, to challenge harmful norms, to speak up for what's fair and kind, they create space for others to do the same. And that's how real change begins, with people who once felt small, finding their voice and realizing they were never small at all. Children grow up seeing fewer impossible standards and more real people with real bodies and real emotions. This helps them reach adulthood with fewer heavy feelings to sort through. Communities begin to understand that being different is not something bad, but something that adds richness and depth. A society that respects each person's unique features can make better use of the many kinds of talents, ideas, and kindness that people have to offer. In truth, no final sentence can fully explain what it means to work through insecurities, because this kind of healing continues through life. Still, we can say with honesty that if you've taken the time to think about your early memories, to notice the pressure from the outside world, to accept the parts of yourself that feel tender or exposed, and to make small, kind steps toward healing, then you are already changing in meaningful ways. Each day brings a new chance to treat yourself with patience, to show care toward others, and to imagine a world where the very things you once tried to hide are seen as beautiful signs of your uniqueness. As you continue, keep in mind that you were never meant to be perfect. The real purpose has always been to feel whole. And wholeness means including all parts of you. What you think of as your gifts, the things you sometimes wish were different, the journey that shaped you, and the dreams you carry for who you hope to become. When you bring these parts together with kindness and openness, you begin to build a life that makes space for mistakes, learns from them, and turns them into deep sources of understanding, connection, and personal growth.